safety tip a week keeps your account security at peak. In the previous videos, we taught you how to identify scammers to protect your account. In this video, we'll be going through some of the consequences that might happen if your account gets stolen, and what you can do to prevent it. When scammers steal a game account, they usually start by deceiving a player to obtain their password, and then change it to prevent them from logging into the game. Next, they'll try to unlink and tamper with the mobile number and other information associated with the account. As a result, not only will all the items and UC in the account be lost, but the scammer will also spend all the UC to get items and use the gifting feature to sell them to others. Or they'll continue to post phishing messages with the stolen account to deceive other players. They might even impersonate the player and ask friends on the account for their passwords. Then rinse and repeat if they get hold of another account. In some cases, they might try to sell the stolen account directly. Worse still is when they use the account to cheat or commit other violations, which could lead to the account getting permanently banned. In order to prevent this from happening, we need to keep our eyes peeled for scammers. In the next video, we'll be going through in more detail how you can protect your account. What other account risks have you come across? Let us know in the comments.
A new 1.6 by 1.6 kilometer map is coming to PUBG Mobile version 2.7. In this map, there are several energy zones where you can receive random attribute boosts, such as increased speed and health recovery. At the same time, lots of supplies spawn in the area. Be sure to grab them while you can. After finding all the supplies in an area, you should keep moving to find more supplies. The fastest way to move about is through portals. Go through one to teleport to the other side somewhere else on the map. After exploring an area, it's best to teleport somewhere far. However, it's important to note that there's a cooldown after use, so it can't be used too frequently. If you want to travel across mid-distances, be sure to take note of the updrafts on the map. Get close to an updraft to get lifted into the air. After reaching a certain height, you'll descend back to the ground. During your descent, you can freely adjust your direction to head to your destination. This transportation method is very handy for escaping dangerous situations. Another thing you have to watch out for are the volcanoes on the map. The lava erupting from these volcanoes can cause damage within a certain range. Be sure not to step on the lava. Otherwise, you'll keep taking damage and lose health. After arriving at a new area, be sure to search for exclusive crates. Approach them to get exclusive themed supplies. Apart from exclusive crates, timed airdrops are also a great way to get supplies, so make sure to keep an eye out for the countdown timer on the minimap. It indicates when an airdrop is about to appear. After the countdown ends, a crate with amazing supplies will rise from the ground. When this happens, there will surely be many enemies vying for the crate, so make sure to lie in wait beforehand and evacuate quickly after grabbing the supplies. If you get injured when going for the supplies, go to the recovery point indicated on the map. You'll be able to heal there. Just run into it to fully restore your health and armor in an instant, just like with teleporting. The recovery point has a cooldown after using it. It can't be used again until the cooldown ends. If the battle gets too intense and you find your teammates eliminated, you can bring them back within a limited time at the towers located on the map. The towers also have cooldown after being used. Each player can only be brought back by a teammate once. Players that have been brought back will directly respawn near the tower that was used without having to jump back to the battleground. Hurry and join your friends in the fight for victory. PUBG Mobile version 2.7 will be available soon. Let's check out the new updates in Classic mode. In this update, we've added a new Ace-32 firearm. It uses 7.62mm ammo and will be available on all maps, as well as in Metro Royale. Like the M416, the Ace-32 also has 6 attachment slots. Do you think Ace-32 will be more popular than M416? Try it out now. In the new version, 2-seat bikes can now fold up and be stored in the backpack. Just like mountain bikes, they can also jump, but only when ridden by one player. Teammates or enemies that are knocked down can now also be carried onto vehicles. Knockdown players can only be placed on passenger seats, and they can get off if they wish. How do you plan to use this new feature? Let us know in the comments. Players can now bring their companions into the training grounds and interact with them. Be sure to bring your companion along for training. Additionally, we've also improved the companion spectating system. When a teammate is spectating, their nickname, teammate number, and other information will be displayed. In this new update, we've continued to make improvements to the throwables slot. Now, when there are multiple items in the throwables slot, such as melee weapons, classic throwables, and exclusive themed items, they're sorted in a logical order to select more easily. We've also added firearm attribute tags. Newer players can go to their backpack to look at the tags of a firearm they picked up to quickly grasp its characteristics. On top of that, we've also added a background effect, the latest RP's Victory Dance. Go perform the Victory Dance with your friends. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. See you next time.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Pubg Mobile Summer Brawl, bringing together the best players from North America region. And each week will feature a different exciting game mode and individual prize pools. Now for this week, of course, we are going to be heading into the very, very exciting Nusa to see what our lovely teams are going to be bringing through. And of course, I'm joined on the desk with Neptura. Nep, how are you doing today?
I am good, DK. Thanks for having me on. I'm super excited for Nusa, honestly. It's one of my favorite at small maps, probably my most favorite over Livic, which I know is going to be controversial, but it is. It's just how it is. So I'm really excited for the next 3 games, DK.
Yeah, there's going to be quite a bit of action rather to come through as the teams are going to be making their way on through. As you've already said, Nusa being a very small map, right? So it is going to be a great opportunity for a lot of that close quarter combat to come through, and it is going to be quite a bit of a challenge, seeing that we also won't be having as many teams moving into this lobby. So, you know, the opportunity is there for teams to get themselves nicely positioned, you know, moving through everything. But of course, as we mentioned before, we are going to be heading into exciting game modes on every different week. So let's take a look at the calendar to see exactly what that is going to be and, of course, where we are, right? So we are starting it off today with the June 28th one, which is going to be squads. Next week, Friday, we are going to be moving into solos, followed by duos, before closing it up with squads yet again. So it's a nice little bit of a trade-off that we've got coming through here. It's always exciting, Neb, looking at the solos and duos aside from the squad performances.
Yeah, it is. It always brings a little bit of an interesting aspect to it. You know, you and I, we're always doing the squad stuff. It's squad this, squad that. What's really interesting, it's a really nice, fresh take, you know, doing those solos, doing those duos, seeing how individual players that sometimes we see from the squads or from recognizable teams actually come in and do the solo and duo stuff. And it's doing really, I think it's going to be interesting. So yeah, but back to squads, you know, we're going to have some real fun. Only 8 per map is what I think I heard. So it's going to be an interesting one. Can you imagine if there were 16 though? That would be absolutely insane. It's a blessing that we're not getting that, because that'd just be absolute chaos for everybody concerned. But I'm super excited to get into it.
Yeah, and of course, speaking about that, let's take a look at our participating teams to see who we have in our lineup, who's going to be stepping out onto the battlefield. We've got the players there from YKG, we've got Ego Invictus, as well as the Extreme Slayers Arctic Esports. We've got 1X Esports, Monterey, followed by Split Team and Overhaul. So a nice lineup that we've got. 8 teams are going to be showcasing all their crazy talents as they get ready to move on through. Of course, utilizing all the available space that we have moving in and around that lovely Nusa area. I mean, it's good that we are seeing a little bit more of that love now being brought over to Nusa. I mean, it's a map that was introduced a while back, but we've not really seen much of it really coming into the competitive scene. And of course, then, speaking about competitive scene, I think we need to take a look and see exactly what the score system is, right? How are these teams going to award themselves that top angle? And that is, of course, by utilizing the points distribution, which is very similar to what we've been seeing for this entire season so far.
Yeah, it is. And it's going to be a nice sort of kind of a scale, you know, of how Nusa really holds up against some of the other maps. If you're using the same amount of the same point system across all the maps, then we really get a good comparison. So this is going to be a very interesting few games here, trying to really understand how these teams play in this much smaller map, and what their strategy is going to be coming into this point system.
Yeah. Well, the strategies will, of course, then award them, you know, positioning on the leaderboard. And speaking about positioning, let's take a look and see what that prize pool is, right? As we know, there's quite a bit up for grabs. Now, for today, of course, it is going to be whoever places in first place is going to be walking away with not only a cash prize, but also some of that UC being dropped down as well as the MVP picking up 10,000 UC. I mean, Nep, you can buy some really decent stuff with 10,000 UC.
You really can. I mean, honestly, if I was a better player than I am, I would totally be going for that MVP spot, because what a prize that is. That's a fantastic prize pool. Thank you. But, you know, the rest of them still very decent. 2,500 UC plus a share of that 600 buckaroos coming in for first place. This is a great tournament in terms of the prize pool. I think this is going to make these teams very competitive. And, you know, what's competitive for them is real fun watching for us and the viewers at home. So, yeah, this is going to be fun.
Oh yes, there's going to be a lot of that coming through, but of course, well, we'd love to hear what your thoughts are, so be sure to hit us up on social media as we are going to be looking at all the different tags, right? So we've got it on Twitter, on Insta, Facebook, YouTube, where you're hopefully watching us right now. And then, of course, we've got Discord there as well. So be sure to head over on towards Discord, as we know there are several events that are popping off all over the place. And, you know, to be up to date with everything that's happening in the NA Esports scene with regards to PUBG, head on through, go have a bit of a look, and who knows, we might be even mentioning your name as you venture out onto the battlefield.
Yes, indeed. We're always looking at chat. We're always noticing what people are saying. We're always, you know, excited to kind of include everybody in our broadcast as well. So let us know your thoughts and cheer on your favorite teams in this Noosa special that we got coming up for you guys.
Yeah, we want to hear those shout-outs and, of course, see all the love coming through for our teams. And with that, of course, now with our faces appearing on the screen, that is a kind of hint that we are getting that much closer to jumping into our very first match of the day. But, Nep, now this is where I want to ask you the question, right? If you can drop anywhere on Noosa, right, where would you go and why would you choose that position? And do you think any of our teams are going to be dropping in the same spot?
Yes, yeah, I think that there's 2 areas specifically, maybe 3. So there's a dock over onto the western side. I go to the science lab every time I drop there, but then there's also the village just below that. So those are going to be the 3 main areas I think these teams will be dropping. Yeah, I usually go for science lab. I tend to have the best luck there, and it's a really nice central position. Either that or the village for me. So I'm excited to see what teams do with it for me. What about you though, DK? We don't hear your opinion. You're hosting. You're asking all the questions. How is DK? Who is DK? And what do you think?
I mean, that's the way it's supposed to be, right? But of course, I definitely go with the science center as well. You know, nice big building to, you know, try and get as much loot. You've got all those different drop locations. You can go up on the roofs. You can pop in on the sides. There's so much to move through, and I'm curious to see whether or not we could potentially maybe be moving in towards that. But also then to add to that village that you were mentioning as well, right? I mean, I want to see if we are going to be looking at a few potential hot drops coming through. With 8 teams getting ready to step out onto the battlefield, there might be an opportunity for that, or we might see the teams taking a lot more of a spread out approach with regards to their positioning. But we'll be finding out pretty soon what the teams are going to be bringing in. But of course, we are going to be looking at, at our games, right? We've got 3 maps that are going to be played out here today. All 3 are going to be on the map of Noosa. So it's going to be hot, it's going to be sweaty, and it's going to be quick fast, as the teams will have to really keep up with that pace to try and secure themselves a top slot.
Yeah, they absolutely will. And I was just thinking about that, kind of going, well, wait a minute, you know, we've got the same point system, but that point system usually gets you like 4, 5, even 6 games in a day. We've got 3, and not even 3 Orangles with 3 Sandhawks. It's 3 Noosas. Like, these matches take 10-20 minutes max. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how these teams adapt to such a quick pace, because it's not easy at all. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they do this and what that point balance is going to be.
Yeah, this could essentially be like that third to last zone moving into Sanok, right? So it is it's gonna be pretty tiny, it's gonna be pretty sweaty, but that is what we love to see. And of course, the teams will be able to enjoy a little bit of that scenic route as they are making their way over the beaches and, you know, all the beautiful scenery within the map itself. But of course, now speaking about everything, we are going to be taking a look at our map list just to give you a bit of an idea. As we've already been talking about it, it is going to be a triple dose of Noosa. So in case you missed the first one, there's going to be second and third one, right? So it could potentially be a copy paste, rinse, repeat, right? Hopefully, well, actually, not hopefully. I'm curious to see a little bit more of a balanced distribution with regards to the team's performances. But who knows? We might have one team that looks to go on a bit of a runaway performance.
Yeah, I think we could possibly see that. I'm going to be really interested to see if there are drop clashes, if the team who loses those drop clashes just move on, or if they try and clash it again. I think with the amount of maps that we've actually got going on, I think it's going to be really dangerous for them to try and clash it a second, even a third time if they're going to do that. So I would like them to try it the first game and then, you know, use the second 2 games to really get those points and just go elsewhere and leave them to it. So we'll have to see how that kind of map distribution goes on as well.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot to explore for the teams. Seeing that they are going to be running through 3 doses of that Noosa flavor coming in. But of course, speaking about Noosa flavor, it means that we are also very, very close to kicking off our very first match here of today to see exactly what the teams are going to be doing. So without any further delay, let's head on in as we do have Noosa now starting to load up. They are warming up the propellers, the engines, everything on the plane, ensuring that the seats are in the upright position and all the seat belts are loosened, right? Because they want to jump. No point in having it locked in.
Yeah, that was the plane, by the way, in case anybody didn't get that. I was trying to be a plane engine, but you know, it's fine. You know, we're gonna get the plane over this glorious map. It's a little jungly, it's a little not. It's a definitely interesting map, and look at those cliffs, those dynamic angles that you're gonna be getting. Here we go. Oh, and hang on, it's July. I don't want to see a single Christmas anything in July. How dare you? But here we go.
It's Christmas in July. What can we say, of course, as they are heading down to the beach.
Science.
Now, interesting quick start here. I mean, the flight path, it doesn't really matter when it comes to Noosa, right? You can still reach into quite a few positions, but of course, well, to add to it, we have a beautiful start, very centralized flight path, and a lot of heat now coming down into the science center.
I am so surprised. 6 teams, okay, 5 teams went to Science Center. That is absolutely, you gotta love them for it though, because this aggression is what's gonna be putting them on the map. They have to get this first game right. Whoever wins this is setting themselves very well for the top of that leaderboard. So it's just gonna be a free-for-all, trying to get those points. Flicks did not have the corresponding loot for the corresponding fight. It looks like they're gonna be losing 1. That's a big rip, but they've already got 3 eliminations, DK.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good start. Now, let's see whether or not Monterey Esports will be able to bag a few more, as there's still quite a few opponents hanging around in the vicinity. We did see YKG also not too far off. We got the players there from Arctic Esports as well. So the contention is pretty high. Ooh, but the spray is now continuing to connect on through. Chico, however, is down here. Ooh, Doxy getting met with a beautiful nade as 24K rushes in and gets the hit.
Don't they just? I mean, what? I don't know what was happening there. He was there in full view. But gosh, that was a great nade. And you're starting to see those nades really start to fly here as one team does go down there. It's going to be Arctic Esports. Oh, and now it's Overhaul getting some shots in, as well as Ego. YKG pretty split, actually. They had a couple over onto Science and a couple outside. It's a really nice angle to be holding, because now you got Ego trying to make their move, and it's just not working.
Yeah, but I'm also at this point very curious to see what 1X are going to be looking to bring on through. I mean, YKG just going absolutely rampant, pushing in from the southern side. But as we did see on the map there for a quick brief moment, that the players from the side of 1X are positioned a little bit further on towards the north, right? They've not really dropped in towards the science center, Sweaty's position. But that could maybe be a play that could work out exceptionally well for them. But as we can see, then also it is going to be Tima that is going down in the meanwhile. Malkin keeping a nice and steady angle, trying to play a bit of a third-party angle. Overwatch here. The spray's now just flying out that window straight across in towards 1X.
Nice. That was really, really nicely done there. Didn't quite get the finish or the knock there, but still, just let them know I can see you, and I'm really good with this M7. Now, do remember though, DK, as we've seen with YKG, we do have that parachute, that revive sort of thing, recall enabled here. So these guys have nothing to lose by hot dropping like this, because they just come back for another round later on. And Ego is now pushing the build, and this is a nice breach from them.
Yeah, that is just going to keep on fueling the fire. Oh, YKG, Ego and Victus going toe-to-toe. Monterey now getting yet another knock heading in their direction. Ouch. Malkin goes right on down as 24K goes for gold, rushing through. As you can see, the numbers keep on changing, but already YKG sitting on 8 eliminations. Overall, only on 2. But there's still a lot of opportunity here for them to continue with the onslaught, right? Continue to pick up those elims. Speaking of which, up comes the YKG right onto their doorstep.
YKG, man, they know exactly what they're doing. That third party between that previous fight was just fantastic. And now breaching the doorway like that, big GG's coming in. 9 eliminations for 24K, DK. This is insane. First game coming in from them. What's the rest of the game? What's the rest of the night going to be looking for them? And honestly, already, can anybody catch up to them?
Yeah, that is going to be the question we want answered here. But of course, Extreme Slayers also now bagging a few more as they push on forward. Now locking in their 4th Elam. But I wonder at which point someone is going to look to do something about 24K. I mean, going absolutely rampant. 9 Elams, as you pointed out. That is just crazy to see.
Yeah.
But fortunately, that quick res option is available. Now, we are down to only 7 remaining teams, so the pressure is building. The tension is rising. As you can see, the players now from Split Team also trying to find a bit of an angle. 1X held up just ahead of them. It is going to be Influence and Creepy. But looking at Split, this could maybe be a beautiful strategy.
Yeah, it really could. I think Split's one of the teams that did not jump to Science. Oh, and he's getting third party as well. This is not good at all for Overhaul. So, yeah, it looks like they had a really nice area to come through. They've been chill. They've not been fighting. They've got their resources, and they're making the most of them for sure. Split team just trying to get this res going on. Influence actually not doing a whole lot, really hesitating on this, allows them to get the res, and that's what's going to kill him in the end, DK.
Yeah, that is going to be a pretty tough one indeed. But now, down to 6 we go, right? We have not yet even reached the end of our first stage. We got about 30 seconds or so left on the clock. And it is going to start restricting that playable area. But YKG currently holding on to the lead, sitting with those 10 Elams. We got Montre following in 7th, and Ego Invictus then sitting on 5. But as we look off into the distance there, we still see a few names that we are wanting to really start lighting up the screen. As we can see the players then coming in from, I believe that is Overhaul, just keeping it nice and quiet over on towards the eastern side. But this is Noosa. Nep, you gotta rush. You gotta apply all the heat and pressure you can find.
You really have to, because otherwise other teams are going to do it to you. You've got to be the first one up there, front and center. Now we are seeing Arctic Esports. They were one of the ones to go out early, and they've come back, and so they're going to be playing a much slower game right now. It's a good village to have. It's a great cover. The problem is, exactly as you're seeing it, though, there are 2 teams up on hills above them, and with that kind of sightline, it's just not going to be a really adaptable sort of situation for them. They're going to have to really play as their enemies allow them to.
Well, that is kind of part of the risk, right? As you said, moving into that, you have to deal with the teams now just holding that elevation surrounding you. But maybe we could see the Arctic Esports team maybe find a way to get themselves out of that pressure play. Meanwhile, the blue zone is going to be closing up. YKG not going to be backing off though. Still trying to reach over into the side of Overhaul. And I mean, just a few mere moments ago, we had the Science Center absolutely jam-packed with teams, right? Now it's only down to YKG that have been able to secure their foothold here. But it's going to come down to that zone shift to see whether or not they can actually maintain their current positioning, or would they have to rotate?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really interesting one. What's so nice about Science Center is you've got several very clear exits from that area. They're not super hard to really use. You can use them fairly easily. So I think they won't have a hard time coming out of here. It's really that initial drop that's the hardest bit about that area. But Monterey seems to be, on the other hand, I don't even recognize this area. This must be up to the north somewhere. It does look that way. So yeah, and really nice slow play coming in from Monterey, just to keep things chill, just to keep things quiet, but not quiet for very long. DK, Extreme Slayers putting an end to it.
Yeah, and that is what we want to see, because currently we do have the players there from Monterey holding on to those 7 points, and it is going to be a fight looking to secure even more. But here we go, Extreme Slayers now coming under heavy pressure as Legal reaches in. It is going to be Baby Dre and Remix now down on their knees looking for a bit of change. Not quite sure if the rest of the team will be able to bring in any assistance. But this is now that opening for Malkin to get rest on back, right? The beautiful utilization of the opportunity. But again, also Split Team holding that vantage point. So they have to be very cautious as to how they approach this.
Yeah, they really do. It's not easy. The zone is definitely pressuring them. I don't think Extreme Slayers do have that backup. This is going to be interesting to see them play that, but Monterey sure do, but I don't know if the zone's going to be holding out long enough. To be fair, it's only stage 2, so it shouldn't be all that bad, but we'll have to see. It's really a race against time, because if Extreme Slayers are, in fact, able to get this res, it's game over for Monterey.
Yeah, and that could be quite a bit of a problematic play on their side. But now Blue Zone also going to be doing its thing here. Monterey, this is not where you want to be. I mean, this is a small zone, so you can expect that blue damage starting to ramp up as we head into the preceding stages. But of course, up on the hill, right? A nice steady angle still held there by Split Team. I'm curious to see whether or not they are going to be looking to utilize that northern reach, because a lot of the other teams are all situated more towards that southern side. So that does allow them the opportunity to really focus their angles towards Monterey Esports.
Yeah, it does. This is definitely an uphill battle, literally and figuratively, for Monterey. They've had a quiet game, but now this is really where it starts to get tough. And in some ways, they're at a major disadvantage, because those teams that did put in a lot of the work at the beginning of the game are now very well set up. Yeah, there goes down one of their teammates again. So even if they go out here, though, DK, I'm gonna say this is not a half bad result from them. They have 9 eliminations right now, so to go out in 6 but with 9, I think that would be just fine. So they can do their best. Oh, almost runs into that nade though. Very 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 lucky indeed, but they're not going to be able to get Malkin at all, and this time it's Split Team trying to clean him up.
Yeah, but Split Team coming through with that split-second decision. So beautiful reach here from RKZ. Oh, it comes very, very close. But I'm curious to see what's going to happen on that southern side as well, as we did see the players from Overhaul as well as YKG now having a little bit of leisure time, right? They can enjoy the scenery, not feeling too much of that pressure coming through. I say that, and they are, of course, exchanging shots all over the place. But speaking about exchange, right? Legal also going to be looking to reach in with a bit of the utility as the Blue Zone now forces their hand. They have to push on forward. The zone is going to be closing up, and a beautiful duck now it just comes drifting across the screen. Of course, then as you can see up in the distance, Extreme Slayers lying in wait. So again, Monterey Esports not having the easiest approach moving forward.
Yeah, definitely not. They're really having to do everything in their power to actually get into zone. So it's not having, they're not having the best of first games at the moment in terms of just ease, really. Everybody else seems to be fairly situated. But actually, tell you what, DK, I think a lot of these teams are going to have a lot of trouble, because the zone continues to push these teams towards the village, push these teams into other teams that are ready and waiting, and honestly into more vulnerable positions. So it's about to get dastardly for a lot of these teams.
Well, we love dastardly, right? Because that means that there is going to be some very tough decisions and very quick thinking at plays that need to come on through. But in the meanwhile, Arctic Esports now knocking on the door here of the Extreme Slayers. There goes Chica from YKG. It is done. Their ticket gets punched. They get shipped out with 10 points, 10 eliminations to their name. But Jalinga also now could get caught out in that opening. A Split Team, they are just looking to play a very, very cautious approach. But also, I mean, they've also then taken a very split up spread here, right? We already see one player on the front line. We want to see the rest of the team now also stepping into that hot mess.
No, we absolutely do. I'm just still surprised that YKG went out that early. I think they just got caught out and perhaps waited a little bit too long on that push into zone, and that's what caught them out in the end. But now Split Team trying to catch out Overhaul. Overhaul been here for a while, so this is going to be hopefully fairly easy for them. But for Split Team, if they can catch any sort of vulnerability, they're going to be going for it. But I think actually they're going to be pushing down instead of across. That looks like what they're trying to kind of do here, so we'll have to see how they end up doing it. But right now the nades are flying as Monterey looks like he's going for the hill strat.
Oh, that could be the approach. But in the meanwhile, Extreme Slayers are looking to clean up the place here as we move through to Robin. Now already finding that first elimination. 3 potential more just waiting around the corner.
Oh.
But are they going to be able to capitalize?
No.
The shots connect and down goes Robert. That is Monterey getting shipped out. So all our elimination leaders now just getting picked off one by one. Extreme Slayers also then biting the dust. Now it is split team. Still holding on to the northern edge. Only 3 teams left to contest for that first winner chicken dinner overhaul. Holding nice and steadily up on the ridge, but Kalua gets traded as JP just locks it in. 1 down, 1 more to go. Let's see whether or not they are going to be able to find King. As we can see, RKZ now just rushing on up alongside JP. And this could be exactly what Split Team needs now to secure a very strong position within the zone. But of course, the Arctic Esports team not going to let it pass and slide for free. It's going to be 3v2v1. And look at that. Jalinka goes to work and splits them up.
Beautiful. That was fantastic. What a push from Arctic. That was fantastically done, DK. I mean, we were all about, you know, the overhaul slash, you know, split fight, but Arctic coming in there just made it absolutely impossible for Split to do anything. Overhaul automatically got that second place because of that fight and the kind of the crossfire that was going on, and Arctic just handled that masterfully. They had a hot drop at the very beginning. They died early, they went to the village, and they stayed there, and that really, really worked in their favor. So big GG's going to Arctic.
I mean, it's quite interesting because, you know, we pointed out early on that, you know, the position in which we saw Arctic up in that village could be a little bit of a contentious play to make, seeing that they've had so many teams on those hillsides, but it doesn't seem like it was too much of a concern to them as they were able to hold on. But speaking about holding on, right, we need to see who was the player that was able to do the most in this match, as we are going to be venturing over onto our MVP, and it is, of course, none other than 24K with those glorious 9 eliminations and 1,571 damage dealt.
That is insane. I mean, 24K, we've seen him do it before. He's no stranger to most people here, but just to come out with that is just a fantastic, fantastic result for him. Just really shows you what a CQC god this guy is, especially with that that DP28, one of my favorite weapons. So I really appreciate him using that. It's really, really nicely done.
It's that golden touch, right? It's all in the name. That's how you know, if you got 24K on your team, you know, you got a few carrots that are going to be rolling on in. But aside from the MVP, right, we also have our MVT, right? So our most valued team. And of course, it is going to be none other than YKG as they continue to reign supreme here. Only 10 eliminations though. I mean, you know, 24K had a few miracles happening there. I mean, they had a bit of, the assistance coming through from the team as well. But, I mean, moving into the remaining matches, I want to see something come through from Joey and Chicola as well.
No, absolutely. I think they were the ones who went out a little bit early, got revived or recalled rather, and then we didn't see a whole lot from them at all. I mean, obviously, at least Joey's giving some support there with those 2 knocks. Chico's got some damage in there as well. But yeah, it looking strong, a strong start for YKG. Let's be real here. But we are going to be moving on into our team versus team DK, and this is what I'm excited to see, because who have we got here? Oh, we got Arctic versus Monterey. Oh, interesting. Alrighty, what do you think of this?
I mean, it's a very interesting one to look at indeed, right? Both teams picking up their 9 eliminations, but 9 eliminations for Arctic coming off of only 1,100 damage. So having a very steady conversion rate there. So we look on towards Monterey. They're causing a lot of that damage, almost the equivalent of 20 eliminations, but they only got 9 out of that, right? So, there's a lot of opportunities that I feel maybe they could have looked to try and capitalize on, but still, mad respect going out for causing so much carnage, so much damage, making it so difficult for the opposing teams. to find any successful plays. But of course, now we need to take a look at a bit of a breakdown between our eliminations and the damage, right? And where the teams kind of find themselves with regards to that. Now, of course, as we can see, YKG just loading it up with regards to the damage, but the conversion rates are still there. I mean, out of what we can see right here, the healthiest one, as I said, was coming through from the side of Arctic, right? 9 eliminations out of only 1100 damage.
You know what that tells me, though, DK, is that Arctic were doing a lot of third partying in that time, right? Not a lot of damage, but a lot of kills means they're getting somebody else's kills right there. Same with Monterey, actually. You know, we are seeing slightly less damage, but still they're putting in a lot of work. But you have to remember, Monterey was the one coming down from the north side. They were hounded constantly by 2 teams and the zone. So I think it makes a lot of sense that they were doing a lot of damage, but that was only to get them into zone, not necessarily to convert to kills. So I think that really goes hand in hand with how that game actually went for them. But if you look at Overhaul and Extreme as well, you know, you kind of do see a little bit more of a closer conversion rate there, as you were saying. So yeah, I think it's a pretty even board across it.
Yeah, good distribution, of course. Speaking about boards, speaking about distribution, we need to take a look at our overall board, our overall leaderboard, to see where the teams find themselves. Of course, it is going to be Arctic Esports sitting right up in pole position with a glorious 19 points, 9 of which has come through from the eliminations. YKG also with a very aggressive play there. We saw those 10 eliminations coming in, of course. 24K being the MVP there with 9 of the 10. But of course, then Monterey, right? Even though they were causing so much damage, caught in such a difficult position, as you pointed out, rotating through from that northern side, they still award themselves those 12 points. In the same situation can be said about the players coming through here from the side of Overall. Also, a very interesting 3-way split and a very different approach from all 3 of those teams to reach that point.
Yeah, it really was, and it's interesting how, excuse me, they've all come to the same conclusion with those 3 different kind of strategies coming in there. So, you know, it kind of shows the validity of all 3 of those strategies. Monterey having a much quieter game than, say, YKG, but they're both, in the end, getting the same amount of points. So it is very interesting to see, and I'm wondering how that's going to be coming into the second and third games, how, you know, that tie will actually even itself out.
Well, of course, now speaking about the second game, we need to have a bit of a look back at all the amazing plays we had happening in our first match. So we are going to be heading into the replays, followed by a break, and after which we'll be right back. So let's enjoy the replays. Hello guys, and welcome back to our lovely summer brawl. Already finishing up our first match. We are getting ready for match number 2. We are going to be returning to the lovely Nusa to see what the teams are going to be doing and how they're going to be looking to bring in the upsets. Already we do have the players from Arctic Esports holding on to the pole position, right? Very nicely and comfortably secured at the top of the leaderboard. But it might get a little bit cold at the top, right? So we want to see a little bit of an upset making its way on through in our remaining 2 matches. This is the summer brawl after all, right? So they need to store a bit of the Arctic Esports team's performances. But as we saw, a very sweaty drop coming in towards that lovely science center with, as you said, about 6 teams dropping in there. So, I mean, if that is a taste of what we could expecting moving into our remaining games, I'm all for it, right? I'm on board. You know, just take us into it. I want to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I am so ready for another massive hot drop at Science Center. I was gonna say Science Fair, and that's just not it. So, yeah, Science Center would be really fun. But you know what else is really fun, DK? UC codes, and it's there. It is there. Here it goes. It's right there. We got a little bit of a UC code coming in. That was a really tiny one. So, you know, go back and pause and zoom in. You can use the zoom in feature on YouTube. You can do that now. That's awesome. So yeah, use it for that UC code because it is going to be well worth the squinting. So go ahead and grab that while you still can as we wait for game 2.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely an interesting one to look at, but in the meanwhile we are going to be getting ready for that map list that is going to be popping up on the screen. And today's a very difficult one, you know, remembering the map sequence, right? So
Absolutely.
we start with Nusa, we then head to Nusa, and then we end with Nusa, right? So, you know, just repeat that to yourself a few times because I know it's quite challenging and it's very tricky to remember. Nusa, you know? I mean, if you say it once, you've got all 3 of them all in one swoop. So you know, a nice bit of a approach to come through. Now, curious to see what the zone is going to be doing moving into the second match. I mean, the first one was an interesting start indeed, and I wonder whether or not Arctic are going to be going for the similar kind of drop, right? Are we going to see them start off with that space center, then maybe rotate towards the town, or are they going to take a different approach? Are they going to look to maybe shake it up a little bit? Of course, we are going to be finding out very, very soon, as the plane is now just nicely warmed up and everyone has got their swim shorts on, getting ready to hop on the beach.
Heck yeah, as they should. You know, the sand gets kind of hot out there, so you need to make sure you bring your flip-flops, bring your sunscreen, bring all that good happy stuff, because we are about to go in. And you know, you were talking about zone, DK. I do think Arctic will go for the same strategy, but me personally, I would love to see the zone go over to that cliff that you can see over there, the port side, the bridge over there on that western side of zone. I think it's such an interesting dynamic place to play from, and super difficult as well. But you know me, I love to be toxic when it comes to these kinds of games, because it's fun to watch, and the playing path certainly is in our favor when we talk about trying to go over into that Bay Area for the zone. So I'm hopeful, but let's see who and how many teams are actually going to be going to Science Center this time.
Yes, that is going to be the big question. It does seem like Arctic are going to be heading right down to that spot. Ooh, up comes the squad there from Overhaul, as well as the parachutes now get deployed. It's not going to be as sweaty as we had in match number one. I mean, there's still a rather large number of teams at 5 this time around, you know, so we are reducing the number, right? First it was 6, now it's 5. But let's get right into the action, as Arctic Esports already secured their first 2 eliminations. And that is at the expense of YKG. But I'm curious to see whether or not 24K is going to be looking to pop off yet again. Split team also just holding in the vicinity. And Monterey now having to try and pick up quite a bit of a pace here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think YKG are not feeling as confident as they did last time, because look at all this happening. But Chico, there we go, getting those eliminations from Chico now, as it's now Overhaul's turn to kind of get overhauled a little bit there, but perhaps not. Chico coming on in. Oh, and we have the code once again. It's nice and big up on your screen, so ignore the action going on for now. Grab yourself some of that action for yourself and go get that code. But back to the action. Okay, YKG, they're up on top. That's where they like to be, nice and high with that Uzi. Fear looking to make his mark now. You know, we had 24K, now it's Fears' turn, now it's Chico's turn. Let's see what they can do as we move over onto Overhaul. Just the solo, it's just Meko now. They do have 2 eliminations, but not really the kind that you really want to be having, you know, after the hot drop like that. It does look like they've lost one entirely, DK, so it's not a strong start for them.
Yeah, and of course, now speaking about strong start, right, we have that zone situated over on towards the northwestern side. So that is going to pull a lot of the focus of the teams now moving in towards the cavern, and the cavern rather, as well as up in towards Bulan. So I'm curious to see who's going to take that preemptive rotation, maybe looking to get themselves secured. Meanwhile, there's going to be Monterey now trying to mount an aggressive push here. As you can see, Flex now also being brought to their knees. So they really have to keep their heads on a swivel, especially looking at how sweaty the Science Center is.
It is so sweaty. I mean, I've played here quite a few times before, and it's bad. So I can't imagine having 5 teams all drop here at this level. That's just insane. Meko, you know, still being able to hold on this angle. Power to him, honestly, that he's been able to hold this for so long. I think a lot of teams have been really just looking at different teams here, but there's only him and YKG now in this area, and they know he's there. There is also Monterey, so there's 3 teams here. Monterey actually having a better time of it than they did in the last game in terms of like that zone positioning. You know, they're already good to go, but that's wait, hang on, Mako trying to come in and he doesn't get it done because there's 3 of them in that room and he didn't know. He didn't know they were there.
Yeah, Meko just got to oh no as they just rushed blindly into the position held here by YKG. But YKG now also just looking to explore. As you can see, a lot of the jump shots coming through. Arctic also coming under fire as Primo gets absolutely obliterated. Down they go, and this is sad. As you can see, well, sad from Monterrey now getting taken on down. The YKG looking to go rampant yet again. It's not as aggressive of a performance coming through from 24K this time around, but already we do see them sitting on 7 eliminations. Now it is going to be Monterrey trying to get a bit of a jump up ahead, also then sitting on their 8 elims. But look at the distribution of teams. YKG, Ego rather, still yet to secure them foothold in that zone.
Yeah, and you know what? This is going to be very difficult for them to do. I would think YKG are probably going to want to move over to that western side of Flame Village, honestly, get that high ground immediately. Otherwise, they're going to have a really hard time because you've got Monterrey trying to come in. You've got Extreme Slayers coming in as well. They're going to be both gatekeeping that. At the moment, though, it is going to be Overhaul with another knock. This is not good for them. Definitely not the second game that they wanted.
Yeah, Creepy now just going to be, well, creeping around, looking to see if they can get a little bit of a res to come on through. But Texas now holding a nice bit of Overwatch. That could spell quite a bit of a problem here now for 1X. A split team starts to move up, looking to pick up the base, and they do secure yet another angle here. 3 elims already to their name, but they are our top eliminators so far. Sad sitting with 3. We got Flicks rather sitting on 3, as well as Joey. And of course, we've got Chico, Claw, and Kalua sitting on 2 apiece. Now, there is a lot more of a distribution with regards to those eliminations, especially within the second match, right? We don't have that insane runaway performance like we had in the first game. But Split, I mean, it's not all secured just yet, right? We still have Legal just hanging around, waiting for a bit of an opportunity to get themselves not only out of the blue zone, but also beyond the point, which we see Texas holding.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this is going to be a difficult one. I don't know how Monterrey end up in this position. Legal once again out in the zone on the north side being gate kept. Another code alert. The chicken's waving his surfboard at you. It's a code, so go ahead and grab that while you still can. We do see Overhaul over here though, maybe having a little sneak, and Legal could really use that as a third party, but Monterrey, it is all up to Legal now. His teammate in zone no longer with us. Ego Invictus just evicting him out of this space. Very nicely done. Only 3 eliminations so far, which I think, DK, that we kind of got spoiled with the first game because this is a much lower kill point game off the bat than the first game. And so now we're like, oh, it's only 3 kills. Now, 3 kills is good. I think we just got spoiled.
Yeah, I mean, as I said before, the distribution is looking much, much better. But in the meanwhile, 1X, well, down to 1. As they are now just trying to play the long game here. Meanwhile, it's going to be the Extreme Slayers now coming under fire as Overhaul start to take aim. But again, looking at Overhaul's position, also a rather spread out play. Yes, we know this is a small map, but still you want to be close enough to bring in assistance should it be required. In the meanwhile, Ego Invictus now feeling a lot of that heat, a lot of the pressure as they now have to just get down on their bellies to try and stay alive for the time being.
That's insane. Split team coming in with that, you know, that quick swivel, looking to where they need to go next. I think they got slightly tunnel visioned a little bit there on to Legal, but now they've realized their mistake. They need to move on. But it's Overhaul. Overhaul has their fingers in all the pies. We've seen them all over the place here as they take out one of the split teams. So down to 3 they go here. And the zone closure coming in. The duck is about to leave. And there it goes. Zone closure coming on in right now. So pressure's really on for these teams to make a move.
Yeah, that blue zone is going to come cracking on through. But as you can see, a lot of the teams already having a bit of a foothold within the zone. Of course, we're still waiting to see what Legal is going to be doing. Very isolated and, you know, kind of kept away from the zone, as we can see, up towards the northern reach. I love what Overhaul are doing with that western positioning. I mean, they are the only team currently held up there. So the eastern side is going to prove to be a very, very exhausting angle to try and play from. You've got so many teams yet to move on forward. But Extreme Slayers now looking to capitalize on a bit of a gatekeep opportunity. It is YKG just knocking on the edge there. And of course, Ego just pushing in from that northern side.
Aren't they just? Very nicely done from them. I think Extreme Slayers had a really nice split coming in here, but as you said, you don't want to split too far, and I think that's kind of what we're seeing here, just a little bit. Ego taking full advantage of that. YKG, man, you know what? I really don't like their strategy coming into this. I think that's twice now. They've been really slow to make that second move into zone, to move away from Science Center. I think it's just a little bit of a delay on their part that ends up putting them in a really nasty spot. You've got to be so quick when it comes to these smaller maps, and if you're not, then you're gonna get yeeted. So, YKG for the third game, please rotate a little bit quicker.
Well, let's see whether or not they are going to listen to the request. In the meanwhile, it's going to be the Extreme Slayers also now pushing a little bit more on towards that western side. But look at what is happening still towards the east, right? Zoran is going to be forcing their hand, closing on up. So split team YKG and Ego Invictus now have to make a play here. They have to make that decisive decision here. Well, that's kind of what it means, right? As we do have the code also then appearing up on screen. So be sure to zoom in if you can't see that properly. Either which way, we're also again slowly zooming in on the teams as they are feeling the pressure. King Fears now getting brought to their knees. And now it is reliant on 24K. But 24K this time around only sitting with one elimination.
Yeah, he really took a back seat on this one. He said, okay, guys, I got you here. I'm going to take a step back for this one. I need to refresh. I need to breathe, take the reins. And they have to, definitely a certain degree, 8 eliminations so far. Down to that solo, though, again, part of that really late rotation. That's just what happens when it comes to this map. But the eliminations are doing a really good job to keep them in that second place spot, if not first, because while Arctic are still here, they have not had the big game that they had in the last one. Oh, Ego are in trouble. Uh-oh.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I mean, Admiral, a very admirable position that they're holding up on the hillside, right? Great bit of Overwatch. Beautiful capitalization. But now let's see what is going to unfold here. How will this unravel? As we got Starboy and the rest of the crew there from Ego now trying to just get themselves up in the vehicle. 24K, our MVP for match number 1. Now having the tables turned against them. Meanwhile, Split Team also still holding up a very challenging angle. But 6 teams, Nep. That is what we've got left, right? We've gone from 8 down to 6, and we still have 15 players just strewn all over this map. But you gotta admire Admiral's persistence here, trying to find those headshots all the way off the distance.
Yeah, he's got such a beautiful angle when it comes to kind of gatekeeping, and I know they're not in zone just yet. They do have to move in, but honestly, it's one of those times where you really have to make sure you have everything, you have done everything you possibly can before you move from that, even if it means getting tickled by the zone a little bit. Ego got that vehicle, that's their best chance right now, and you got Overhaul at the same time doing other things to other people, so Ego might have a way in right now.
Well, they might as well. Just inching their way in. But of course, now they have to defend as we got the players there from Overhaul position just towards that western side. A beautiful push coming through from the north. And this is where it becomes an absolute sweat fest, as it is going to be a very tough one to defend. Of course, with that, we say goodbye to Arctic Esports, getting shipped out in 5th place with only 5 elims to their name. But Overhaul now feeling an immense amount of pressure.
Yeah, no, I love this from Ego. This is beautifully played here. Really nice nade, just hanging on by the skin of their teeth. There's still 3 alive, though. The zone has favored them, and everybody else is being really, really pressured. This spot by Starboy could win the whole game for them, honestly, DK.
Yep, definitely could be the case here, but let's see how this is going to go now. The push comes through. This is Starboy getting met with lead in the face. It is now up to Alpatroon here, trying to hold steady. We got RKZ rushing forward. Jareed now trying to lock it down, but it is a trade in all directions as there's been multiple knocks on either side. Ego Invictus sitting up on 8 eliminations. No. Jareed managing to survive. And now Alpatron having to hold steady. Yet another nade. How many more do they have in the bag? Well, they don't need anymore as the chicken dinner gets picked on up. And with that, Ego Invictus secure themselves a glorious finish.
That was beautifully played. I mean, there were a couple of spots there where we were like, okay, yeah, they're done. They're done. And Dusty Overhaul had such a nice overlook onto them. We thought they were done, finished, out of here. And they are out of here, but with that win under their belt. So very, very nicely done. That was masterfully played in such a hard position. I mean, you had teams all around you. It was very open, very nadeable. Just really, really nice stuff coming in here, DK.
Yeah, of course, speaking about nice stuff, it is MVP time with Kalua stealing the show. 4 eliminations and 932 damage. But what's also nice to see is Kalua coming through with those 2 assists, right? So that is what you want to see. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? So well played to the players here from Overhaul, securing themselves, or at least to Kalua, getting that. And of course, well, as we go from player, we now need to take a look at the team to see who is our MVP. And of course, it is none other than the players coming through from the side there of Overhaul, securing themselves a glorious, glorious play. And of course, as we count up all those eliminations, it does amount to 12 in total. So what a performance. Nice. I mean, Smeko coming really close, sitting on the same amount of eliminations, but the damage just so much greater for Kalua.
Yeah, and I think that's where those assists are actually coming in for Kalua. You know, Meko he's getting those eliminations, but the damage just isn't quite there. Same with King in terms, but the other way around. So yeah, very nicely done. A really nice team effort from all concerned. And as we move on, it's Monterey again here, but versus Invictus this time, of course. And we're seeing kind of even but very different scores here.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of even, referring to the fact that both of them are even numbers, right? So that's even.
Yes. Yeah.
But we've got 8 on the one side, 10 on the opposite end. But again, both teams locking in quite a bit of aggression, right? Definitely Invictus this time dealing a very heavy hand, as we can see them being only 5 eliminations, 5 damage points rather, short of hitting the 2k mark. So a very impressive play. And of course, quite a bit of carnage coming through from their end. But if we look at conversion rates, it is looking a little bit better on the side of Monterey, right? 8 eliminations out of 1,280 damage. Unfortunately, the survival time for Monterey, well, it fails the comparison to that of Invictus.
Yeah, it really does. Again, Monterey with that northernmost position. It definitely was working for them when they went to Science Center. It was doing very, very nicely for them. But again, that northern thing of just getting completely gate-kept there really, really hurts them. So I'm wondering if they're going to actually do some things. You know, it's the last game, why not? Just switch some stuff up.
Yeah, speaking about switching stuff up, we head all the way back to 1995, right? Just a few days ago. But either which way, Ego Invictus with those 10 elims from such a low elimination count in comparison to that which we see coming through from the side of Overhaul. Almost hitting 2,600 damage, managing to milk 12 eliminations out of that. But also, of course, we also got to take a look at YKG. I mean, we saw YKG sitting in a very similar position to which we see Overhaul now occupying, but this is where we love to see these tables turning, right? The one team performing exceptionally well, the one match, and then things turn the other which way. Of course, Monterey looking to be very, very consistent. So I think it is going to boil down to that final match to have our victors of today be decided, because I don't think at this point anything is clear just yet.
Yeah, no, it's really not. And as we move over into our overalls, we're going to see just how close and how far these teams actually are. Overhaul grabbing it. No chicken dinners under their belt so far, and yet they're ahead by 2 points. This is very, very close. I mean, what if we got 8 points between 6th and 1st place right now? It is all to play for still.
Yeah, I mean, you could even extend that all the way to 7th place as, 17 to 21 is not that big of a jump.
No,
and it all
not
can
at all.
come down to just one single match, seeing that that pole position is worth 10 points. But yes, I have to agree with you overall, securing themselves that pole position with not a single chicken, that does look very, very exciting. But of course, you got to commend the side there of Arctic Esports as well. The consistency, the balance, right? 13 placement points, 14 eliminations does bring them quite a bit of an advantage here. So it is going to literally boil down to that final match. And as you can see, 12 points, that could happen in one game. So nothing is secured. I think we are going to have a 7-way fight to see who's going to be the team to walk away victorious. But of course, speaking about fights, speaking about victory, right, we are going to be taking a quick look at our replays from this past match, after which we are going to be hopping into break, and we'll be right back with match number 3, so don't go anywhere. Hello guys and welcome back to our lovely summer brawl as the teams have been cooking it up on the beach. I mean, we've seen a lot of sweaty plays. First game was absolutely insane. Second game, a lot more balanced, right? But now I'm curious to see what's going to come through in game number 3. Are we going to have the teams revert back to game number 1? Just go absolutely ham and go rampant and, you know, just absolutely crazy? I hope that's the case, right? Honestly, that's what I hope to see. The teams just bringing in all the excitement. But of course, speaking about excitement, right? We've got that lovely chicken also then drifting in. I mean, the chicken's on that side, but either which way, there comes the chicken shaking its surfboard. You said it was waving its surfboard. I mean, there comes the wave. So, you know, it's a little bit of a more tidal approach coming through from that chicken with regards to the goat. So go ahead and redeem them as Neptura sits here and does the wave, and we'll just do the wave as well. Why not? Because it's Summer Brawl time. Speaking about Summer Brawl, of course, we are going to be heading into our last match of the day. Now, in case you forgot what the last map is, it's there, right? It's the one with the blue. That's the one we're going to right now. Game number 3 of today. You can start counting on either which side. You can start at the left, you can start at the right, you can start at the bottom, you can start at the top. Doesn't matter. You'll still pick the right thing.
Yep, it's the same thing. You know, I was going to say, you know, everybody get your guesses in now before it went. But you know what? I think everybody got it right. It's Noosa. So very, very fun. Gonna be looking forward to this. I honestly think, though, DK, we're not going to be seeing a whole lot of you know, real hot drop clashing, you know, last ditch attempts. I think teams are going to play this a little bit more slowly, a little bit more, you know, with all how much points are actually, you know, in between these teams. I think they're going to play this very carefully indeed. At least that's what I'd like to see, DK. But we are moving in to the final match of the evening. It has gone so quickly. I'm sure it has for these teams, and I think that's where that pressure is coming in all the more.
Yes, I have to agree with you on that, right? The speed is definitely a big factor in this one. But I guess to see whether or not we are going to be having 6 teams or 5 teams hot dropping up in towards the Science Center itself. Of course, we don't have to wait all too long as we are heading straight on into town to see where our teams are going to be dropping in. Now, the pressure is going to be on, especially for a team like Overhaul, currently leading only by 2 points ahead of Arctic Esports. And as we said before, as you've pointed out, there's only 12 points currently separating first from 7th. So it is all going to come down to how the teams look to deal with this next stage, right? And of course, it is an absolute insane number. We have 7 teams this time around moving up into the Science Center. Maybe it could trickle down to 6, but we'll find out soon enough. Monterey already getting down to business, drawing the first blood. As we can see, those eliminations just getting secured. Of course, Remix now getting shipped on down. We do see the players there from Split Team also starting to pop off. But unfortunately, a few of them have not yet been able to get themselves weapons, and YKG up to 3, but at a very costly price.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, YKG. I think everybody's just like, no, you are not allowed to slaughter us any longer. It's the revolt of the rest of the lobby for sure coming in here. Arctic holding their own as well. That's nice to see. Monterey, they are still a full squad. So again, nice to see some of these other teams really standing up for themselves. Split is also here. You know what else is here, DK? A nice little juicy code. So go grab that while you can, chat, because it's one of the last ones to come into this evening. So you know what? Get it while you can. But Split, I think, just moving out of there completely. That's the whole squad gone. So they're going to be moving on elsewhere. Nope, never mind. As we were talking about Arctic, I was saying they're dead. No, they're not. We were looking at them. Never mind. Monterey, though, down to a duo here. I doubt that Flix is going to come back. I think it's way too risky for the final game to do so. But Legal is going to be getting the work done in his absence. Big GGs from Legal. Now, please don't go up to the north and get gate kept again.
Yeah, Legal with that Eagle Eye spray. But as we know, there's going to be a little bit of that respawn opportunity still coming through. So, speaking about contention, right, this is the opportunity now for this. JP comes strafing up. Oh, Chico denies them access. Thanking them so much for, you know, running all the way up, bringing them an extra little bit of loot here. But Montre also then finding themselves on 4 eliminations. Now, well, they were trailing by 8 points coming into this match, so they have to double the amount of eliminations they have right now to just be on par of what Overhaul were bringing in already. But of course, then we can see the players from the side of Ego Invictus also making a run for it. Coming into this match in 3rd place, there is a lot to play for here.
Yeah, and you know, it's always a bad sign when you see a team outside of Science Center getting knocked, because you know they were once in Science Center. They've already used their recall to get out of Science Center, and now they're getting eliminated, and that this time for good. So that is a big shame as far as I'm aware coming in from Arctic. Oh, and YKG as well, getting yeeted. Absolutely yeeted by Split. They're down to 2. I do think they all have their own recalls though still, so shouldn't be too much of a problem. The Spheres is going to go ahead and bleed out real quick, but DK, I don't see him resuscitating. I don't see that parachute logo.
Yeah, that could be a little bit of a problem, but in the meanwhile, Legal and the rest of Montre also facing a few problems of their own, but a little bit of strafing could solve that for them, as we did see the hit now finding its way up in towards 1x. Now, 24K, our MVP of match number 1, already finding themselves on 4 eliminations. So it does seem like YKG are definitely going to be looking to just push it as hard as they can. But you can see the distribution of the teams, the zone, how it pulls in towards the center. So it is going to be the players there from Extreme Slayers pushing in from that southwestern side. Of course, Split team now, while staying true to their name, taking up an interesting 3-1 split. But what is YKG, though, going to do, pushing through from the southern edge? They still have that Science Center.
They do. This is going to be a tough one, because as a solo, 24K not got much left in the arsenal in terms of strategy, and he doesn't have anything now. Sad coming in there. Very, very nicely done, and that's a huge blow for YKG's spot at all. I mean, they are currently in 1st place, as we see on the leaderboard up there. They got 32 points, but they're out so early, DK. I don't think that lead's going to hold on for much longer.
Yeah, and they came in trailing by 7 points behind overall, right? So we also have a beautiful code up on the screen as the chicken shakes their tail feather, and the wave, well, just wipes them out. But in the meanwhile, I'm curious to see what Overall are going to be doing here, because as we can see at the top of the screen, trailing by 1 point. Now, they've not yet really got down to business just yet. So I'm wondering if we are going to be having any of that. But also, you have to take into account that we are left with only 7 teams, right? So the opportunities are potentially going to start running dry very, very soon. Speaking of running dry, right, Split team, I think they are also then just down to 1, so that does limit their options. Well, 1 on the southern edge. We did see the other 3, of course, situated further up north, and 1x now coming under fire, as they are going to be looking to influence a little bit of the aggression here, but you really have to be super cautious and not overextend your position.
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely so important coming into these smaller and smaller maps, especially new. So you cannot overextend. You cannot do over anything, because then you are absolutely going to get found out. You know, you have 1 here, 1x. They're trying. They're trying really hard. They've not had a great last 2 games so far. They've had 2 eliminations at the moment, but they're only a trio, so they've got to play this one super carefully. I think they've got good sightlines on XSplit actually, and it could be an interesting, or Extreme Slayers. I don't know where XSplit came from, but you know, they could actually have some good sightlines on them. What is Monterey doing though? They love being out in zone and being gate kept. Apparently, it's a thing.
Yeah, it does seem to be a thing, right? We got Malkin and, of course, Sad on opposite ends of the map. I mean, there could still be an opportunity for Sad to get a little bit of a position secured within that zone. But looking at Jareed, though, I mean, who better to throw a nade than Jareed to do it on themselves? Meanwhile, it's going to be Extreme Slayers now feeling a little bit of that heat, still holding on to their 4-piece. But also then 1x up ahead. Are they going to zoom in? Will we see A beautiful spray coming in across the way as the Extreme Slayers now try to manage their current positioning, trying to utilize this terrain and get themselves into a little bit more of a favorable spot. But what I did notice as well just then is that the players from Arctic Esports are situated in that town yet again, right? Holding onto the camp. The last time we saw them there, they had a very comfortable run.
They really did. I think this is a good strategy for them. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's really that old adage coming back for Game 3 overhaul. Not having as fantastic a time as last game. They do have one down, and actually they have their MVP down. Kahlua is down. He's dead. He's gone. He will not be MVP for this game because he is out of here. Nice couple of nades and things from 1x, but they need to move into zone ASAP. Split now on that gate kept side, and Ego Invictus. I tell you what, this is a really good team. I've been really impressed with the kind of moves that they've been making, and once again, they're coming into this zone, really fighting for it. You see them kind of crowd around this hillside. They're looking everywhere, very aware, and I'm interested to see how this zone treats them because this could be very interesting.
Yeah, it could be. And with that, of course, now they've snuck up into second place, also sitting on 31 points. So they need one more to tie for pole position. And then they just got to find whatever else they can find along the way. But speaking of finding things, it is going to be 1x now, finding a little bit of that Arctic Esports. And up comes the aggression, the retaliation, as we do see Influence trying to get it under lockdown, but the rush is there. A lot of cat and mouse games, and there we go.
Wow.
Arctic Esports getting closed up in 7th, getting shipped out with 4 elims.
DK, I think the strategy broke. They're going to have to fix that real quick because, well, it's too late. They can't. They are out. They've done all they can do. Now it's Extreme Slayers coming in. And tell you what, where's been this 1x this entire time? They're having such a good game.
Yeah, they definitely are, but of course it is going to be short-lived as we do see
I'm sorry.
Extreme Slayers coming in, slamming the door on their toes. In the meanwhile, Extreme Slayers still trying to pick themselves up as we do have Baby Bray being down. That res is going to come through momentarily. Of course, the blue zone is going to be constricting that play zone as Extreme Slayers now have to make a push. Jareed now lying in wait. A beautiful setup coming through. But it's going to be a very challenging one, though, because we still have quite a few other players held in the vicinity as well.
We do indeed. 8 eliminations for Ego Invictus at the moment. Extreme Slayers are trying to make a push upwards, but I think Patroon has a pretty good oversight on them. Never mind. A great nade, a fantastic nade. Bray just making that excellent play for his team, and it looks like they're going to actually come up around. That could be such a good play from them, but they don't know the split teams here.
Yeah, they definitely don't. Now it's going to be the opportunity for Split to try and make a bit of an upset here. Oh, it is absolute rip and go. As you can see, Jareed now just locking in spray after spray. But it's down to Baby and Robert. Are they going to be able to pick this one up as they now come full sending forward? They close it up, and Split team is a wrap, getting sent out with 5 elims. But as you can see, the contention still alive for the positioning. Ego just trailing again by 1 point. Now, 9 elims strong. Are they going to be able to find the remaining few points they need?
Honestly, I don't know. I think Extreme Slayers, as much as you know, it's sad that solo did go out, but he's done a heck of a lot of damage to Extreme Slayers. He's just stopped them in their tracks, and they have been able to get back up to a full squad. That's not the issue. The timing is that momentum that they had coming up that hill, the timing, everything, it is gone. But they still will get at least a second place, and it's a battle of the nades, DK, up and over those ridges.
Yeah, with that, we did see Monterey also now finishing their run. Ego and Extreme Slayers going toe-to-toe, trying to see who's going to be the one to claim it. It's a 4v4 on either side. But up comes the push, the rush. Robert pushing through the smoke, tries to get the spray, but instead down they go. The nades flying all over the place. Oh, and that is it. Ego and Invictus go down in second, and Extreme Slayers walk away victorious, locking in that winner-winner chicken dinner. Of course, they started off the match all the way in 7th place with only 17 points. And I said 12-point upset That is possible in one match. And I think we just witnessed that happen here.
Oh, they definitely heard you, DK. That was a fantastic game coming in from them. I was worried, you know, like I said, that they weren't going to be able to bring back that momentum that got taken from them by that solo, but they were able to, and it was neck and neck there for a minute there. Ego, really, really good, strong team. I tell you what, Extreme Players do have it at the end of the day, but oh, look who it is! 24K from YKG just sneaking in that MVP, even though they went out super early. 4 eliminations, 988 damage, and 1 assist. So team player.
You know, it's YKG with a touch of gold, right? Getting that MVP yet again for elims. But now let's take a look at our MVT. Our crazy team coming through here from the side of Invictus, walking away with a glorious 10 elimination count to their name. Of course, a very even spread with regards to those knocks coming through, but of course, a very balanced approach with regards to the damage. I mean, 500, 500, 400, 300, it's very, very close.
Yeah, it's just showing you they had a really, really good team synergy, nice spread amongst everybody. Those knocks are almost identical, the kills are almost identical, the damage is almost identical, very, very evenly split amongst them. And that's just a sign of a really even, good team. They're each pulling their own weight. They're all fraggers. Very, very nicely done from Invictus. But as we go over into the team versus team, of course, it's YKG and Extreme Slayers. And very well, okay, almost even, except for that survive time, which I just got a glimpse of YKG's, and ouch.
Yeah, I mean, but it's impressive nonetheless, right? 9 eliminations in only 4 minutes. That's pretty healthy.
True.
And of course, also 1972 damage. I mean, that is a bucket and a bit of damage coming through from their side there. So well played. But you got to commend the players there from Extreme Slayers, of course. They got themselves that glorious winner chicken dinner. But now let's see what the rest of the teams did with regards to the damage breakdown. Of course, there we have it, right? We've already taken a look at a few of them. YKG also just up in it there. You know, as we've seen already. But Monterey again with the consistency, yet again finding themselves within the top 5 teams with regards to that damage.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting graph that we've got going on here. I think it's really showing you how careful a lot of these teams were, that even if they were getting the damage, getting the knocks, they weren't doing much with that. But as we move into our overalls, DK, we will know who the winner is. It's Ego Invictus, woo! With that chicken dinner in the second game, coming in there with 41 points. Extreme Slayers doing just enough to get to second, but not quite that first. Big GG's going their way.
Yeah, definitely got to commend the teams here, though. I mean, Extreme Slayers making an absolutely phenomenal jump all the way from 7th up into 2nd place. That's a pretty steep jump, so big congratulations going out to Extreme Slayers for 2nd. But of course, yes, we got to give credit where credit is due. Ego Invictus. Well, they can have a bit of an ego now, right? Because they secured a phenomenal finish. 41 points, 24 eliminations. I mean, that is only second to YKG, who were able to secure themselves 27 and only 5 placement points.
Wow, I mean, that's very interesting. Just such a big difference. But I tell you what, DK, the 3 teams down there with 32 points each, and one of those teams being Monterey, which we know had a really tough time towards the end of the matches there. So really, really big GGs to them. But that's so frustrating to be like, oh, it's the same. We're the same.
I mean, so close, but yet so far, right? But it's still a very, very phenomenal performance coming through. And quite a bit of excitement. You know, we don't see a lot of Noosa, so it was so much fun to see the teams just utilizing the living heck out of the lovely map of Noosa itself. Of course, we did have a bit of a glimpse at the beach. We did see the space center, all the villages. We had the fire town and everything. Just showcasing as the teams continue to just light it up. But of course, that also then, you know, kind of brings us to where we are, right? We've wrapped our 3 maps for today. As we know, that is the end of the solo section of that. And of course, as we know, next week we are going to be returning with solos. So be sure to join us back again for all the action that the Summer Brawl will bring on through. be sure to head in, of course, to the Discord server. All the links down in the description. But until next week, stay fresh, still frosty, and we'll see you all back later. Bye for now.